Starting today, you're living alone in this house because your presence isn't beneficial for our child's upbringing. Right after giving birth, my husband dragged me into an old apartment near his parents' home. But how am I supposed to live alone in a place like this? Give me my child back. Don't cause a scene like that. It's disgraceful and it bothers the neighbors. Please, be quiet. Beside my husband, my mother-in-law stood, scowling and disregarding my pleas with harsh words. And to add insult to injury, she started to leave bags of organic waste in front of the rundown building every day. With no place to throw away the accumulating trash, I reluctantly opened one of the bags to find something unbelievable inside. I am Sarah, a 27-year-old housewife. It's been 2 years since I married Alex and we were anxiously waiting for our first child's birth. However, my joy was overshadowed by worries about Alex's spendthrift ways, his temper, and the relationship with my mother-in-law. We were living with his mother at his parents' home since his father passed away early. My relationship with my mother-in-law was far from pleasant. She criticized me at every turn and Alex would frequently rebuke me, upset by our exchanges. What kind of folding is this? You'll crease the clothes. Can't you do even this properly? Start again from the beginning. But the other day, Mother, you told me to fold them this way. What? Are you blaming me? My mother-in-law threw the clothes I'd folded onto the floor, messing them up, and angrily pushed them into the nearby laundry basket. She constantly criticized my household chores and, more often than not, she would change her instructions, making it look like I was the one making mistakes. Sarah, why can't you remember simple things? Imagine how I feel, coming home from work and always having to hear about this. Whenever Alex heard such conversations, he'd instantly lose his temper, lash out at objects, and blame me loudly. Alex was cold to me, yet strangely possessive. The only numbers on my cell phone were Alex's and his family's. My internet history was visible to Alex, as if shared. And my location was monitored through GPS. I knew Alex was jealous before we married, but instead of getting better, the constraints worsened. I was tired and started considering divorce. I managed to contact a law firm I spotted on a billboard from a payphone at a store. I explained my situation and began preparations for divorce. Fortunately, I had some savings from before the marriage. The lawyer sympathized with my situation and assured me, "We will definitely get your divorce settled. As for the payment, you can pay it in installments after your life stabilizes." One day, I noticed I had been feeling unwell for a few days. I rushed to the hospital. And to my disbelief, I found out I was pregnant. I had been taking precautions to avoid pregnancy for the sake of the divorce, but Alex had hidden my medication, and I suspect that was when I got pregnant. Mixed feelings of joy for the child and anger towards Alex's actions made me determined to divorce soon. But I had no family home to return to, and with severe morning sickness, I couldn't act as quickly as I wanted and had to spend the days leading up to childbirth at Alex's family home. Alex, knowing about the child, softened his attitude, either convinced I wouldn't run away or genuinely happy about the child. "We'll need to renovate the house for the baby. If it's a boy, he'll play baseball or football, and if it's a girl, she'll learn to respect men." He shared his self-centered educational philosophy. All the while, I kept responding vaguely, knowing internally that I'll divorce once the baby is born. During my pregnancy, my mother-in-law said to me, "If something happens to you, the neighbors might misunderstand and think I did something. So, Sarah, just focus on the baby and don't do anything extra. I don't understand why Alex had a child with someone like you. I'll take care of you until the baby is born, but I really wish you would leave." Despite her constant complaints, she stopped piling chores on me, and I was able to rest. My morning sickness was severe, but even though she complained, "What on earth can you eat? You're so troublesome," she did prepare meals, which helped me get by. However, I almost suffered from malnutrition and had to spend the week before childbirth in the hospital. I safely gave birth to a healthy baby boy and was about to contact my lawyer to proceed with the divorce from Alex as planned when I noticed all my pre-marriage savings were gone. My diary, where I documented harassment from Alex and my mother-in-law, which I was planning to give to my lawyer, was also missing. Could it be Alex? I was shocked, and then I heard Alex's voice from behind me. "Looking for this?" I turned around, and there was Alex, smirking and holding the diary that I had locked and hidden deep in the closet. "You even locked it. What were you writing?" "Give it back." "Shut up. What were you hiding from me, your husband?" "I'm preparing for our divorce. I can't live any longer with someone as unpredictable as you, who quickly resorts to throwing things and shouting to make me obey. I want a divorce," I declared, straying from my plan but determined to see it through. "Fine, I'll give you a divorce. But the kids are staying with me." With that, Alex dragged me to a rundown apartment in the neighborhood near his parents' home. "You staying close is bad for the kids. From today, you're living here alone. While you're living here, I'll let you see the kids once a week. If you leave, you'll never see them again." "What are you saying? Give me back my kids." "Stop making a scene. You're disturbing the neighborhood. Please keep it down." Suddenly, my mother-in-law, who had joined us unnoticed, scolded me while holding my child. I need to get out of this situation somehow. I thought desperately, but no solution came to mind, and I was thrust into the dilapidated apartment. It seemed that Alex had noticed my intentions to divorce during my hospital stay and prepared this situation meticulously. My kids ended up with Alex, and I couldn't just abandon them in their current situation. The next day, I waited for Alex to leave before I tried to leave the apartment to check on the situation at my in-laws. But I noticed a strange smell. Investigating, I found to my shock that there were bags of organic waste dumped outside my room. I couldn't believe my eyes, but I immediately knew it was my mother-in-law's doing. "Oh, Sarah, you're just waking up? Even if we're taking care of the kids, don't you think you're lacking a sense of responsibility as a mother?" "Well, never mind. There's no space at our place for this garbage, so could you keep it here until garbage day?" While holding my child, my mother-in-law brazenly said this to me when I visited her house. "I have to get my kids back and contact a lawyer." Thinking this, I waited for an opportunity, but 3 days passed. Every morning during this time, bags of organic waste were dumped in front of my house. I was filled with rage, wondering what I had done to deserve this. However, on the 3rd day, a turning point came. It was when I was moving the usual bag of garbage dumped in front of my house. Usually, the garbage bag was black, but that day, it was a white bag that was see-through. And upon closer inspection of the bag, I noticed an envelope inside addressed to Sarah. I immediately took out the envelope and checked inside, where I found several $100 bills and a letter from my mother-in-law. In it, she wrote about wanting to help with the kids and the divorce from Alex, but being under surveillance and unable to do anything, that she had been putting envelopes with some money in the garbage bags since a few days ago, and an apology for what happened. Surprised by this, I checked the other garbage bags, and sure enough, there were envelopes in the other bags as well, each with a small amount of cash inside. "I am truly sorry for all I've done. I knew about Alex's abhorrent behavior, and I was harsh to you because I wanted you to escape from him. Due to Alex's surveillance, I had to resort to such measures. I sincerely apologize for all the troubles I have caused. As for the money, I'm sorry I could only give you this much while dodging Alex's watchful eyes. Yesterday, I received a call from a lawyer. He didn't give me many details, but he mentioned he'll visit tomorrow noon. Please, run away with your child. I will deal with Alex. I'm really sorry. The note from my mother-in-law was written in ink that had blurred in places, perhaps due to her tears. Reading it, I realized for the first time that she too was a victim of Alex's behavior. I also learned that while she took good care of me during my pregnancy, she also managed to keep my child safe from Alex's scrutiny. The shocking contents of the letter left me bewildered. Given Alex's personality, it was possible that he had been looking down on his mother just because she was a woman, even though she was his own mother. In the other bag was an envelope, filled not only with cash, but also more letters of apology and countless pictures of my child. Feeling my mother-in-law's concern, I sorted my thoughts for the lawyer's meeting the following day and fell asleep. The next day, I was awakened by the sound of the intercom. When I opened the door, my worn-out mother-in-law was standing there, holding my child. Alex is on a business trip starting today and won't be back for 3 days. This might be our last chance. I am truly sorry.
What will you do now, mother-in-law? Won't Alex fly into a rage when he finds out the child is gone?
Probably, but that's my responsibility since I raised Alex. Besides, I can't work at my age, and since I'm not very smart, I can't survive without Alex's support. I invited my mother-in-law into the house to hear more of her story. As it turned out, she had been subjected to a form of brainwashing from Alex and her late husband, who constantly told her she was incompetent. Her life was devoid of freedom, dedicated entirely to them. She wasn't even allowed to watch TV when her husband was alive, and it was only after his death that she was able to watch a few programs. It was through them that she realized something was wrong with her situation. However, she was unable to free herself and became cold and distant towards me when I came into the family as Alex's wife, hoping to prevent me from suffering the same fate. I may never forget what you said to me, mother-in-law, and my wounds may not heal easily. But you've paved the way for me to escape from Alex. Let's run away together. We have to avoid letting Alex ruin the rest of our lives. My mother-in-law looked puzzled at my words. I can't do that. I'm good for nothing. I'll only be a burden if I run away with you. She insisted. In the midst of all this, the lawyer I had been consulting since before my pregnancy arrived. I told him everything that had happened, and his face grew grim as he listened. What do you want to do, ma'am? Please tell me your true feelings. I will support you with all my might. After some contemplation, the lawyer asked my mother-in-law with sincerity. She responded, I truly want to break free from Alex. I love him because he is my child, but living a life constantly being invalidated is unbearable. It's painful to think I won't see my grandchild anymore, but... With this story, she showed the lawyer her bruised arm. This bruise was so large it shocked me. When I asked my mother-in-law about it, she revealed that after I left, Alex had become abusive due to our child's crying at night. She said such incidents were frequent before our marriage but had not occurred since I became his wife. The lawyer's expression filled with anger, and he started persuading us to escape, promising to teach Alex a harsh lesson. Yet, his persuasion fell on deaf ears, and my mother-in-law went straight back to her marital home, waiting for Alex to return. We couldn't change her decision, so the lawyer and I began preparing to flee. I called my cousin, explained the situation, and asked if I could hide at her place for a while. She accepted, crying, "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" I quickly packed and headed to my cousin's house with my child. A few days later, I got a call from the lawyer, asking if I wanted to participate in a discussion about divorcing Alex. During the call, the lawyer told me that my mother-in-law had changed her mind and would join the discussion. I decided to participate, as it was going to be the last time. On the day of the meeting at the lawyer's office, Alex and my mother-in-law were already there. Seeing me, Alex said, "I was worried. I will kick Mom out, let's live together, just the three of us." Ignoring him, I took my seat, and the lawyer started explaining about the divorce, alimony, and child support. Alex kept pleading with me to return, but I replied, "Alex, the lawyer is speaking. Can't you listen when he is discussing something so important? Have you ever thought about how I feel, hearing you talk about our life together when I'm already tired of it?" Alex's face turned red, and he seemed ready to explode, but he held back, likely due to the lawyer's presence. After the lawyer finished explaining, and when the discussion had calmed down, Alex asked, "What are you so unhappy about? If it's about Mom, we can work it out, can't we? How can you not understand that I love you so much? Do you really think we can divorce over something like this? Love? Don't make me laugh. You've isolated me from the outside world, subjected me to your anger. How can you be so selfish?" I replied, laughing. Alex stood up, but sat back down at the lawyer's instruction. He then turned his rage towards his mother. "Why are you silent when Sarah is leaving because of you? How could you give her money without consulting me, ruining our child's happiness?" He shouted. "To ensure Sarah's life wouldn't become miserable because of you," my mother-in-law retorted, and produced an IC recorder that had captured the constant derogatory and controlling words Alex had thrown at me. She had been preparing for this day since before I got pregnant. With this amount of evidence, a divorce would undoubtedly be granted, even if it comes to a trial. Would you rather agree to divorce here and now, or let it escalate to a trial and have it become known to your company and those around you? The lawyer grouped all the evidence I had gathered, thrusting a divorce at Alex. Alex, seeming resigned, slumped and signed the divorce papers saying, "I'll divorce here. I'll transfer the money right away. Just give me another chance." When? Right now? Do you have the full amount ready? As I responded to Alex's plea, he instantly brightened up, promising to arrange the money immediately, and rushed off to the bank. Returning quickly, a smiling Alex showed me the transaction history and asked, "How about now? Feeling like coming back a little?" I laughed out loud at this, replying, "You can't be serious. You think if I come back, this money comes back too? I'll never see you again." With that final statement from me, Alex was stunned, and to put the final nail in the coffin, my mother-in-law chimed in. With that final statement from me, Alex was stunned, and to put the final nail in the coffin, my mother-in-law chimed in. "I've put up with a lot till now, but if it ends this quickly, it's for the best. Alex, I'm leaving you. I'll live on my own." She then handed out a piece of paper. "Don't involve me anymore. If you do, I'll take this to the police." The paper was a medical report of injuries inflicted on my mother-in-law by Alex. Then the lawyer calmly stated, "From your past behavior and evidence collected so far, your mother-in-law is well prepared to file a lawsuit." Alex broke down crying. "Why? Even Mom is betraying me?" In response to Alex's anguished voice, my mother-in-law grimaced and I addressed him. "Betrayal? You're the one raising a hand to your family. Yet when you get hurt by that same family, you cry? We've been enduring all this time. Ignoring Alex, who was glaring at us in silence, I took my mother-in-law's hand and left the office. After that, the meeting at the lawyer's office with Alex concluded smoothly, and my mother-in-law sold the family home and moved to Atlanta, relying on her relatives. Apparently, she was living comfortably off her late husband's considerable legacy. As for me, I got a job in a faraway place after the divorce was finalized. Now, with the help of others around me, I am living a new life with my child. My marriage was filled with endurance and my own preconceptions, putting up with unnecessary suffering and almost ruining my life. I want my child to avoid such pointless endurance, and hope they become a gentle person with their own will, consideration, and kindness towards others. While praying for this, I want to take care of my own heart and move forward in my new life. Grandma, do you think she'll make it?
Let's pray. Grandma's fighting hard.
Until yesterday, my mother-in-law, Selena, who was lively and well, suddenly collapsed due to a heart attack. It was my niece, Jane, who lives with Selena in our family home, that found her. In front of the ICU, we prayed desperately, but despite our prayers, Selena passed away without returning to us. Selena had 4 children, including my husband, but they arrived at the family home the morning after she passed away. Despite my suspicions about the 4 of them, we somehow managed to get through the funeral. And then, 1 week after the funeral, as life was finally returning to normal, and I had sent my 2 children off to elementary school and preschool, and was watering the flowers in the garden, the mailman came. Among a few postcards, there was one slightly thicker envelope. What could this be? The handwriting on the envelope was familiar, and to my surprise, the sender was Selena. I rushed inside the house, took a deep breath, and opened the envelope, which contained a letter and something else.
Please make sure the children do not notice this letter.
The letter, which started with this line, was sent through her best friend, expressing gratitude towards me, concern for the future of my children, Montague and Diamond, and also for Jane. Apart from the letter, there was another piece of paper with a map drawn on it. I hurriedly contacted Jane and headed to the location indicated on the map. I've always been helped by Selena until the end. Jane, I've made up my mind.
Meadow, I'm supporting you.
I had made a strong resolution. My name is Meadow. I live with my husband Frederick, my first-grade son Montague, and my 3-year-old daughter Diamond. I got married at 32, which wasn't too late, but it took a while before we could have children. I still remember how happy I was to finally be pregnant at 37, to the point of tears. With the pregnancy, I quit the company I had worked for 15 years since graduating from college. Although my colleagues were sorry to see me go, as a team leader, I was working overtime almost every day. And I couldn't imagine continuing to work while raising a child. I wanted to cherish the time with the child who had finally come to us. However, I also felt like quitting work would leave me behind in society, making it hard to make the decision.
Once the kids start preschool and you have some time, you could work a little at our place. If you're family, you don't have to bow and scrape for sudden pickups, and it's more flexible.
It was precisely when Selena, who ran a steakhouse, casually said these words that I was able to make up my mind to quit my job. Selena had lost her husband at a young age and raised 4 children on her own, a true matriarch through and through. Selena, doesn't this seem like a lot of food?
You hit the jackpot. Eat up and work hard in the afternoon.
She never sweated the small stuff, but she was more sensitive to others' feelings than anyone else. I remember how down I felt when I was struggling to get pregnant.
Come on, look up. That's it. Stop by the shop before work starting tomorrow.
Saying this, from the next day, she began giving me lunchboxes every day.
Make sure you eat well. Being in good health is what's important.
She never said it outright, but she took care to help me maintain a body more likely to conceive. My sister-in-law Wendy, sister-in-law Dream, and brother-in-law Melville all married and had children early, and by this time, Selena already had 11 grandchildren. Furthermore, she lived with Wendy, who had moved back home after a divorce, and her 3 children, while the Dream and Melville families lived nearby. Selena, who could see her 11 grandchildren anytime she wanted, must have been more than satisfied with them. Yet, she cried tears of joy for my pregnancy and childbirth. I have always had absolute trust in her, both in the past and now. 7 years have passed since I became a housewife, and with Diamond starting preschool, I decided to start working part-time at Selena's steakhouse.
Selena, listen to this. Montague broke his umbrella again on his way home.
While doing the dishes, I vented to Selena about my children's misadventures. I was quite upset that he had broken 2 umbrellas in just a few months, but Selena seemed unfazed by the story.
He wasn't being bullied, was he?
No.
He said he was competing with a friend to see who could dig deeper into the ground with their umbrella. It's good to have a competitive spirit. Plus, now he knows umbrellas are not for digging, right?
Laughing along with Selena, I found myself smiling too. The frustration and annoyance from yesterday cleared away. A mother should indeed have this solid and unflappable presence. Being with Selena, I kept finding aspects to admire and emulate. She was my ideal image of a mother.
By the way, Selena, do you have any plans for this Sunday?
Nothing planned.
Everyone's so busy these days.
Selena looked a bit lonely. The grandchildren she lives with and those in the neighborhood are all in middle school or older now. They're busy with club activities and hanging out with friends, leaving little time for her.
Well, Montague has been saying he wants to go to a sushi restaurant. Why don't we go together? I'd be so happy to see Montague and Diamond. Thank you for always inviting me.
Selena's face softened. She dotes on Montague and Diamond a lot. The kids are very fond of her, too, and ideally, I'd love to take them to visit her at the family home more often. But with my sisters-in-law living there, it's not easy to just drop by. And having her come to our place isn't feasible either, as we don't have parking. So, Frederick and I decided to invite Selena out for meals or outings about once every 2 weeks, so she could spend time with our children. Eager to sit next to their beloved grandma, the kids always scramble for the seat next to Selena. Watching them, Selena would smile warmly.
Is Frederick working today, too?
Yes. He's been really busy since he became a manager.
I see. That's tough.
Previously, Frederick would join us, but lately, his weekend work has increased, so it's been just the 3 of us going out with Selena. I wasn't too bothered by Frederick's absence, reasoning that work couldn't be helped and the kids weren't much trouble anymore. However, I couldn't ignore the somewhat lonely look that appeared on Selena's face.
Next time, I'll make sure to invite us out on a day when Frederick isn't working.
Selena looked surprised, then shook her head and smiled.
Don't worry about that. I'm truly happy just to spend time with you all.
Saying this, she pulled a small box from her bag. Selena smiled brightly and gently opened the box.
This is my treasure box. This ring was given to me by Dad, and this necklace was my first purchase with my first paycheck.
The treasure box filled with memories made me smile, too.
What about this one in the bag?
I pointed to a small drawstring bag.
That you can open when I say it's okay.
Huh?
Ehe.
Selena laughed mischievously.
I'll give you my treasure box, Meadow. I'm not at the age to dress up anymore.
Saying that, Selena carefully closed the box and placed it in front of me. But, such important things. I want you to have them. To you, my precious daughter. Selena's words deeply touched me. I'll take good care of it. Mother-in-law. Selena smiled warmly and then gently hugged Montague, who was sitting next to her. That's not fair, only brother. Grandma, hug me later too. I'll give you a big hug once we're outside. Selena soothed Diamond, who puffed her cheeks out, with a tender look. Given how much love she showers not just on her grandchildren but also on me, her daughter-in-law, she must really cherish Frederick, her own child. Feeling a bit sad that Frederick seems unaware of the depth of his mother's love, I resolved to make sure Selena could see him the next time. However, that opportunity never came. On a holiday, I went out with the two children. Grandma will be here soon, right? We had invited Selena, but she had an appointment at the hair salon in the morning, so we arranged to meet at the lunch spot. Montague and Diamond stretched their necks, waiting eagerly for Grandma's arrival in front of the restaurant. But Selena didn't show up at the agreed time. I tried calling her several times, but she didn't answer. Being a professional, Selena always made it a point to answer the phone within 3 rings. This habit was ingrained in her, and she would instinctively answer within 3 rings even when not at her store. Yet today, she didn't pick up even after 10 rings. Knowing how reliable Selena was, if she was delayed at the hair salon, she would definitely have contacted us. What could have happened? I was getting worried. Even after waiting for 30 minutes, Selena was nowhere to be seen, and she still wasn't answering her phone. Hey, are we still waiting? I'm hungry. Me too. I want to eat now. As the children started to get cranky from hunger, I hesitated to enter the restaurant without Selena. Here, you can eat this gummy candy while we wait a bit longer for Grandma, okay? I handed out the gummies to the children and pondered. Could something have happened? Maybe I should go check her house. That's when my phone rang. Jane? The name displayed wasn't Selena's but Jane's, Wendy's youngest daughter. Hello, Jane, perfect timing. Is Grandma there? Meadow. What's wrong, Jane? I asked if Selena was at home, but over the phone, Jane sounded like she was crying, and her words were barely coming out. Grandma's collapsed. Meadow, what do we do? Jane's voice was tremulous and faint. Selena has? You can't be serious. I was at a loss for words. Jane seemed to be panicking, her sobbing audible over the phone. Snapping back to reality, I tried to calm her down. It's okay. Take a deep breath. Though I was quite shaken myself, I knew I had to stay calm as the adult, my hands trembling as I spoke. Where did Grandma collapse? In the entranceway. I'm calling an ambulance right now. Stay by her side, we're on our way. After hanging up, I immediately called for an ambulance to her house. Is something wrong with Grandma? Glancing over, I saw the children looking at me anxiously. It seems so. Let's go to Grandma's place, okay? I took the children's hands and headed for the parking lot. On the way, I stopped at a convenience store to buy hamburgers so the hungry kids could eat something in the car. Grandma likes plum. Saying so, Montague confidently added a hamburger for Selena to the basket. I'll share this chocolate with Grandma. Diamond innocently tossed the candy into the basket. Selena, wake up! For these kids, you have to pull through. I fervently hoped this. On our way to her house, Jane called to inform us that Selena was being taken to the university hospital. We rushed to the hospital. Arriving there, we found Jane sitting alone, hunched over in front of the ICU. Jane. Meadow. As soon as she lifted her face, tears streamed down Jane's cheeks. You did well on your own. It's okay now. I sat next to Jane and gently rubbed her back. After calming down a bit, Jane shared what happened when she found Selena. Jane, a ninth grader, said she was at club activities that morning. When she returned home before noon and tried to unlock the door, she found it already open. Feeling suspicious, she gently opened the door and discovered Selena collapsed. I'm sorry for calling all of a sudden. I couldn't get through to anyone else. You were the only one I could turn to, Jane said with an apologetic look. No, thank you for calling. We were supposed to have lunch with Grandma. And when she didn't show up past our meeting time and didn't answer her phone, I was really worried. But I never imagined she had collapsed. I regretted not heading to her house as soon as we couldn't get in touch. Then, a hospital staff member approached us. According to the staff, Selena had suffered a myocardial infarction and collapsed. Her condition was critical when she was brought in, and they were doing their best to treat her, but there was no guarantee she would survive. We need to contact everyone. Jane and I tried to call the relatives, but no one answered their phones. Why isn't anyone answering at a time like this? I was frustrated, especially since I couldn't even get through to Frederick. Lately, not only had he been working on weekends, but he also came home late on weekdays. He often came home slightly drunk. He said the drinking was for work or to cheer up his subordinates, but recently, it felt like he was neglecting his family. Selena wanted to see you. I got it. I'll make sure to join next time. Yet, on the morning of his day off, Frederick would say, something came up at work, and leave the house. Work or family, which is more important? This incident occurred amidst my growing frustrations with Frederick. Selena has collapsed and is in critical condition. Please contact us immediately. I sent this message, but there was no response from Frederick or his siblings. Is it normal for everyone to be this hard to reach? When I asked, Jane nodded. In our family, everyone does their own thing. It's always just Grandma and me for dinner. Is that so? I had no idea about this. At least, Selena had never mentioned it. According to Jane, her mother Wendy never took care of the house and would often disappear when the children were young. Selena had reprimanded Wendy many times. You are the mother of these 3 children. But Mom, you're better at housework and raising children than I am. Of course, I am. I raised 4 children. You'll get better if you do it every day. Selena tried to encourage Wendy to be more motherly, but Wendy continued to prioritize herself, coming and going as she pleased. Therefore, Selena, while working, tirelessly looked after Jane and her siblings with a smile. However, having grown up with such a mother, Jane's siblings now, apart from Jane, do not feel grateful towards Selena and leave the household responsibilities to her, living as they please. Now that I think about it, Selena always talked about Jane. I suddenly remembered. Jane's hamburgers are the best in the world, or when I started having trouble threading needles because of my farsightedness. Jane bought me a needle threader. Grandma always talked about Jane with a smile. Hearing my words, tears once again welled up in Jane's eyes. Will Grandma make it? Let's pray. Grandma's fighting. But despite our hopes, Selena passed away, leaving us behind. Looking at Selena lying on the bed, she seemed to be just sleeping with her usual gentle expression. Grandma, we bought you a hamburger. Let's eat chocolate together. The children, mistaking her for just sleeping, spoke to Selena. Grandma won't wake up anymore. She's gone to heaven. Where's heaven? Is it a nice place? It's a very nice place. Grandma must be happy meeting Grandpa there. Indeed, Selena must have finally met her husband whom she longed to see. I hoped they would spend their time together happily. With that thought, I couldn't find myself crying. We received explanations from the hospital about what would happen next and headed to the family home to prepare for the funeral. Even though it was already evening, nobody was at the family home. The kitchen was set up for dinner. It must be cream stew for tonight. The amount prepared was for a family of 5. Despite not knowing when everyone would return or if they would eat, Selena always prepared meals for the whole family. Till the end, I was deeply moved by Selena's kindness and greatness. Colleagues from Selena's steakhouse also came to the family home to help. We want to help in any way we can for Selena, they said, helping with the funeral preparations. While sharing memories of Selena, we brainstormed and proceeded with the preparations. Jane was the only one familiar with the house. But there were things even she, still a high school student, didn't know, making the preparations challenging. Wendy, whom we thought would return eventually, never came back, and there was no contact with any of the siblings-in-law. Although there was much to consider, my thoughts were only on Selena, and I took the initiative to act. Frederick and his siblings arrived at the family home the next morning.
What have you been doing all this time?
I gave Frederick a cold look. There was trouble at work. I was utterly dismayed that Frederick, even after his own mother passed away, still used work as an excuse. And it wasn't just him. From Wendy and the other siblings-in-law, there was no word of thanks for anything said about Selena or for the funeral preparations.
Then, see you at the funeral. Call us anytime if you need anything.
Sensing the odd atmosphere, the colleagues quietly left. During the funeral, Jane and I, despite our grief, fulfilled our duties as family members. But Selena's own children seemed indifferent and did not make any effort to participate. Thinking about these 4 disturbed my peace of mind. I focused on my last moments with Selena. A week after the funeral ended. As life slowly returned to normal and I had sent the 2 kids off to elementary school and preschool, I was watering the garden when the mailman arrived. Among a few postcards, there was one slightly thicker envelope. What could this be? The handwriting on the envelope was familiar, and surprisingly, the sender was Selena. I quickly went inside the house, took a deep breath, and opened the envelope, which contained a letter and something else.
Please make sure the children do not notice this letter.
The letter, starting with this line, was sent through her best friend, expressing gratitude towards me and concern for the future of Montague, Diamond, and Jane. Apart from the letter, there was another piece of paper with a map drawn on it. I hurriedly contacted Jane and headed to the location indicated on the map. I've been helped by Selena until the end. Jane, I've made up my mind.
Meadow, I'm supporting you.
I had made a strong resolution. A month later, we were called by a lawyer to the family home. Besides us, the Wendy family, Dream family, and Melville family were also gathered. It turned out that Selena had prepared a will during her lifetime and left it with the lawyer. In the will given by the lawyer, Wendy, Frederick, Dream, Melville, divide everything equally among the 4 of you. It was written. I thought I had no part in this, so I should go upstairs and take care of the children. Just as I was about to stand up, an unbelievable phrase caught my ear.
She was a noisy old woman, but at least it was good she left us an inheritance.
The voice belonged to Frederick.
Really, it was worth putting up with everything.
The 4 of them mocked Selena's memory. At that moment, my anger exploded.
I no longer want anything to do with any of you. And that includes you.
With that, I slammed a completed divorce application form on the table. The room fell silent.
What's this all of a sudden?
You've been living because of what I do, you know.
Frederick glared at me sharply, but I glared back without backing down.
The late nights and weekends weren't for work, but for your affairs, right? I have the evidence.
I then spread out a private investigator's report on the table. In fact, the letter from Selena included a key to a coin locker located at the place marked on the map. When Jane and I opened the locker, we found a report on Frederick's affair. Selena must have felt something was off with Frederick's recent work on weekends. This must be a mother's intuition. Selena had secretly hired a detective agency to gather evidence of Frederick's infidelity. I was completely unaware of the affair, so I was truly amazed by Selena's actions.
I don't want a share of the inheritance or compensation from the divorce trial. Just sign the divorce papers now. And never involve yourself with me or the children again.
I couldn't bear to be with someone who disregards their family any longer. I spoke with increased fervor. Frederick's expression twisted for a moment, but then he smirked.
Fine by me. I'll get to use Mom's inheritance all by myself. Works out better for me.
He then filled out the divorce application without hesitation. Since the lawyer is here, it's better to get that promise in writing. Jane's voice came from the side.
Right. Saying you don't want compensation from the divorce trial, then coming back crying later is exactly what I'd expect. That's my girl.
Wendy praised Jane. Jane was actually advising me out of concern. Thinking this, I didn't retort but decided to have the lawyer draft a document outlining the divorce terms as Jane suggested. The discussion about the divorce was over, and I left the family home with the children. As I was leaving, I asked, "The things I received from my mother-in-law during her lifetime aren't considered part of the inheritance, right? May I keep them as keepsakes? Those are just trinkets in a jewelry box, right? Please, feel free to take them." The four siblings, including Wendy, mocked Selena and seemed preoccupied with the inheritance, quickly wanting to dismiss me and the children, outsiders to them. After that, we headed straight to my parents' home.
Welcome back. We've put your things in your room.
I had informed my parents about Frederick's affair and my decision to divorce him as soon as I found out. Considering the children, I thought about moving within their current school district despite being jobless. But my family lived in a different state. Children adapt quickly, you know. Encouraged by my father's words, I decided to temporarily return to my parents' home. It was immediately clear that this was the right decision. Visits to my parents' home were rare, maybe once a year. Though initially tense about living with my parents, the children quickly grew fond of them.
"Grandpa, let's play catch."
Montague, unlike with Frederick, who rarely spent time with him, started playing catch with my dad, who showed him affection.
"Grandma, what's this flower?"
Diamond, who had been missing Selena, began to enjoy the garden flowers with my mom, knowledgeable about plants. They gradually adjusted to their new schools, and we started a modest yet peaceful life. About 3 months later, I received a call from Frederick.
"Did you deceive us?"
He seemed to be talking about the jewelry box I had received from Selena before she passed.
"I heard from Wendy. There were expensive jewels inside that box."
In fact, besides the evidence of the affair, there was another letter in the coin locker. That letter mentioned the jewelry box Selena gave me before her passing. Selena said, "It's okay." When I was told I could open the drawstring bag I had been given permission to open, it contained a gemstone called Alexandrite, and the value of the gemstone was about $500,000. This gem allowed me to decisively move forward with the divorce from Selena. Apparently, Wendy had eavesdropped on a conversation between me and Jane, discovering the existence of the gem. That's why I asked clearly, didn't I? If it was okay to keep what mother-in-law gave me before she passed. That's sneaky.
Even over the phone, I could tell Frederick was furious. It wasn't surprising, considering they were now burdened with dividing not just the inheritance but also the debt among themselves. I had been completely unaware of the debt. Later, Jane told me over the phone that Selena had taken a $500,000 loan 5 years ago for renovations to her shop. If she hadn't purchased the jewel for me, she wouldn't have needed to take on such a massive debt. But this was a testament to Selena's kindness. Grandma always appreciated how kind you were to her, Meadow. Since her own sons and daughter were so distant, she was even happier that you became part of the family. Selena had wanted to express her gratitude to me, and she intended to work off the $500,000 debt herself. If Frederick and his siblings had been kinder to Selena, perhaps she wouldn't have felt the need to leave them with such a burden. They had truly brought this upon themselves. I hoped they would reflect deeply on their actions. After the divorce, Frederick and his siblings tried to contact me several times. But thanks to the agreement we made during the divorce, I managed to fend them off. Not only Frederick but other brothers contacted me. Next time you contact me, I will consult the police. After I told them that, all contact from them suddenly stopped. According to Jane, the siblings finally realized they needed to sort out their issues on their own. Now, they're embroiled in a dispute over whether to sell the family home. Wendy wants to continue living there rent-free, while Frederick and the others want to sell it to alleviate some of the debt. The four of them seemed to get along well when they were making fun of Frederick. But in the end, all four of them can only think about themselves. Despite everything, I felt truly relieved to have distanced myself from such people. The only person I've kept in touch with is Jane. She moved for university and, coincidentally, started living alone near my parents' home.
Montague, I'll help you with your homework. Yay! I love Sister Jane because she's so kind.
Jane, with her kind heart, is now studying to become a nurse, aiming to help people just like her grandmother did. Although she can't rely on her mother Wendy, Jane has been working hard, earning a scholarship for tuition exemption and covering her living expenses with part-time jobs and scholarships. When Jane decided on her university, I offered to sell the gem to help with her expenses, but she refused.
I want to show Grandma that I can live my life well, with a respectable job on my own strength.
Hearing Jane's determination, I decided to quietly support her in her journey. Jane, with her kindness and strong will. She is sure to become a wonderful woman like Selena. When that time comes, I plan to give her a portion of the money from selling the gemstone. After all, Jane was the only grandchild who stayed by Selena's side throughout. And now, I'm also looking for work, trying not to be outdone by Jane. I'm considering starting my own business, something that can be balanced with parenting, and my plans are gradually taking shape. This is all thanks to the jewelry box that Selena left behind. I intend to use some of the initial funds for startup costs, but ultimately want to support my children with the money I earn myself.
I want to go to Finland to see the aurora.
Montague's eyes sparkle as he solves his homework with a world map drawn on it. Recently, he's been very fond of the globe he received as a gift, eagerly sharing his knowledge about the countries of the world.
I want to meet Santa Claus. I'd prefer somewhere warm, like Hawaii.
Everyone dreams of their own desired destinations. That's it. I'll use the money Selena left behind to take the children and Jane to the places they want to visit. Surely, it will be an enriching experience that broadens their horizons. Just imagining it fills me with excitement. Selena, thanks to you, we can spend our days with smiles on our faces. Please continue to watch over us.